Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants here. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, I'm taking you to the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood in Puerto Vallarta. I'm going to introduce you to a true craftsman. His name is Octavio Rios, and Octavio is a shoemaker. He's one of the family at Puerto Vallarta's oldest shoemaker, Huaracheria Fabiola, and they can make a custom pair of footwear in just a couple of days, really. But before we get to Octavio, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 2nd of March, 2020. First off, let's start with some really good news. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how developers they had their eye on the estuary over the Estero El Salado in Puerto Vallarta, and there was going to be a week for the Vallartans to come out and go to different polling places around town where they could vote on how they wanted to see the future of the Estero. Well, the vote is in, and the people of Puerto Vallarta have spoken, and here is what the result is. The plan to develop the Estero El Salado, the nature preserve in the protected estuary where crocodiles live in the mangroves, has been scuttled. That's right. Let me read from this article in Espacio PV, translated from Spanish to English, so here goes. The Estero El Salado expands its polygon of protection thanks to the Vallartenses. Today, February 29th, the decree to expand the Estero El Salado protected natural area is signed. The Estero's longtime director and protector, Jaime Torres, announced the protected area has been expanded from 169 hectares to 208 hectares. The decree is signed thanks to all Vallartenses who supported with demonstrations, with their opinion in the process before, during, and after the survey. All those people who go, enjoy, and contribute to the Estero, to the group's untiring efforts to protect the natural heritage of the Estero for the good of all living things and the Vallartenses community. Thanks to each and every one of them, Estero Salado continues to be what it should always be, a protected natural area. Thanks to the Vallartans, it says. So there you go. That's great news. And actually, Jalisco Governor Enrique Alfaro came into town, and when he came into town, he was hounded by protesters. The protesters thought that he was there to steal the Estero, only to basically ultimately turn the tables. He surprised everybody because the people had voted and they had spoken. And he was there actually not to usher in developers, but usher in the protection and the expansion of the Estero El Salado. Now, the proposed plan, I had a look at it. It wasn't as bad as I had thought it was, but it would have really disturbed that natural area. It was They were going to turn the area into kind of like an entertainment area, like a nature destination with zip lines. Like we need more zip lines in Puerto Vallarta, right? Shops, an organic kind of a healthy restaurant, organic market, cycling path, and they had an area there for fairs where they could set up booths and stuff like that to sell organic, natural products and stuff. Of course, this would have been extremely destructive to that area during the construction and after, I would have to say. So there, they turned that whole project away, and I have a link to the article in the show notes. It's a very, very good day for the Estero Salado, and if you're wondering where the estuary is, it's actually opposite the Marina Vallarta. It's the south part of the marina, on the other side of Highway 200, Huaracheria 200 there. That is the protected area. And they give tours. And so next time I'm down, I'll be taking the podcast over to the Estero El Salado. The name Estero El Salado, by the way, translates to salty estuary. Kind of like pata salada is salty foot, salty feet, right? And we're going to be talking about salty feet a little bit later in the podcast. So last time I was down, I met the cast and crew from Espacio PV. Actually, I met one of the cast members when I was over at the celebration for the Rio Horcones. His name was Leo, and Leo and I started talking about podcasting. And he said, hey, they do a show. He does a show with a group of people. And he invited me to the taping of one of their YouTube shows. And so I asked if I could record an interview while I was there, which I did. And I had a blast with this group of young college, they're college-age students, I would say. What they do is they do news in kind of a funny way. They tackle really serious subjects, such as, the Estero. They have been talking a lot about the violence against women. They talk about these topics in a very serious way, but they drink while they do it. So it's not that serious. It gets kind of funny and gets a little silly, and they get drunk while they do the show. It's pretty funny. Anyway, it's all in Spanish. But Leo he's from the States. He's a Mexican from the States. And he helps me to translate during this whole thing. So when we bring that along, when we have that interview with the crew from Espacio PV, I will have Leo there, and he will be doing some translating for me. It was a great time, a lot of fun, and these guys are terrific. Anyway, I have links to this article in the show notes, as well as some pictures from my visit to the set over there at Espacio PV. And like I said, we'll have them on soon. I also have a map that shows you where the Estero, where to find the Estero, where the Estero El Salado is. And congratulations to all the fine people of Puerto Vallarta who came out in droves in support of protecting the Estero. So bravo. Good for you guys. Speaking of environmental victories, this just in, from Vallarta Unos Online. This is translated from the Spanish, and this is a little tough, so I'm going to attempt to clean this up as I read it. The headline essentially says that the ex-mayor of Puerto Vallarta, Fernando Corona, who's the owner of many projects, we've talked about this, and properties in and around Puerto Vallarta, including the Garza Blanca, where they just ruined that hillside along Huaracheria 200, south of town. Anyway, he's being investigated for corruption and fraud in connection with that project. I'm going to read this. Here we go. By Jorge Olmos Contreras. He writes, the multi-million-dollar investment that's being made by the businessman and former municipal president of Puerto Vallarta, Fernando Gonzalez Corona, to divert a section of the Federal Highway 200 south of Vallarta could be lost if the Ministry of Communications and Transportation, SCT, abides by the recommendation recently made by the Ministry of Public Administration, the SFP, noting that they are in the process of nullifying the agreement signed between the SCT and the company Promotera Arena Blanca S.A.A. de CV, without the right to compensation, protecting in this way the interests of public property. As earlier reported, the Secretary of the Federal Government Public Service, Irma Entriada Sandoval Ballesteros, announced that one of the worst cases of corruption that was brought to her attention was the deviation of the line of a highway in Puerto Vallarta to free land next to the beach and benefit a tourist developer. The federal official was referring without doubt to the deviation of 780 meters from the highway located south of Puerto Vallarta towards Mismaloya to give way to a mega tourist development by Fernando Gonzalez Corona and partners. In this regard, the SFP audit report 2019 detected the agreement of actions for the modification of Federal 200 Manzanillo Puerto Vallarta Road with a length of 280 meters, whose purpose was, according to the beneficiary's company's arguments, to modify the road to avoid supposedly accidents being the responsibility of a private company, construction costs, in exchange for giving the right of way of the current line. However, the SFP annual report warns that possible acts of corruption were determined because it was intended to benefit an individual with a piece of public property. In the company's performance, fraud and deceit were observed. During the visit to the site, it was found that the road was constructed by modifying the original route without respecting the right of way to free land adjacent to the beach, which was intended to be used in a tourism project for the same company. Therefore, the report adds the SCT was recommended to carry out the process of nullification of the agreement without the right to compensation, protecting the interests of the nation. This means that the entrepreneur, Fernando Gonzalez Corona, may not use the deviated section for his benefit, which also obstructed the view of the beach with a wall, but that he will have to respect the original section of the road and that everything he built will not be compensated for due to possible acts of corruption. On top of that, public officials or former officials at SCT who signed and authorized the diversion of the road on April 5th, 2018, such as Oscar Raul Calejo, Undersecretary of Infrastructure, and the engineer Salvador Fernandez Ayala, General Director of SCT Jalisco Center, could be under the magnifying glass of the SFP for these alleged acts of corruption to benefit Fernando Gonzalez Corona. So the article also goes on to say that irregularities were detected in equity and interest declarations submitted by public servants, the participation of a federal official, and that of his spouse in various companies, as well as the ownership of real estate and vehicles that failed to declare, which alerted the authorities. So this is very, very interesting. Wow. Anyway, I have a link to the article in the show notes. We have talked about the former mayor of Puerto Vallarta, and we've talked about the disaster that he caused along this section of Highway 200. It is breathtakingly ugly when you drive by it. And anyway, this story is unfolding. There will be more coming up in the coming weeks, and we will be covering Mr. Fernando Corona. Anyway, let's all hope for a happy ending, and no massage jokes, please. Now, here's a story that is a little bit, we've had a couple of victories. This is a little bit alarming if you're thinking about opposing a well-connected builder, actually in Nayarit, just over the border on the Bahia de Banderas. Here's a story where a developer in San Pancho used the courts to turn the tables on the people that were attempting to stop him from developing on the beach. This is from Mexico News Daily. It reads, Court freezes bank accounts of opponents of Nayarit condominium project. They claim that the developer has illegally built on almost 1,200 square meters of protected coastline. This was published Wednesday, February 26, 2020, residents and the public officials in Nayarit involved in protesting the construction of a condominium complex on federally protected coastline have had their personal bank accounts frozen for over 3 months thanks to a lawsuit that was brought by the developer. Despite holding protests as far back as 2018, opponents of Punta Paraiso, a luxury development in San Francisco, San Pancho, to locals, have watched Loomis Real Estate continue with the project with no apparent regulation from the federal government. They claim that the company has illegally built on almost 1,200 square meters of federal zone, or ZOMAT, a 20-meter-wide strip of coastline meant to be protected by the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, PROFEPA. We met with President Lopez Obrador 2 times. We spoke with his superdelegate in Nayarit. We spoke with Governor Antonia Echeverria Garcia. And, of course, we protested openly, said local activist Eric Saracho in an interview with Mexico News Daily. After more than 2 years of fighting the development and seeing their demands at the law being applied in San Pancho go unheeded by any regulatory agencies, Saracho and others involved in the opposition found themselves in a difficult situation at the end of last year. In late November, he and 5 other protesters woke to find that they had no access to their personal bank accounts. Without any official notice from governmental or legal entity, the activists were told by their banks that their accounts had been frozen due to a lawsuit. Carlos Loomis of Loomis Real Estate told press conference that same month that the company had sued the activists for defamation, claiming that their actions had cost Loomis Real Estate over 12 million pesos, or in dollars, that's $629,000. They froze our accounts by means that we consider to be corrupt, said Ismael Dunaldes, a state lawmaker from Bahia de Banderas, the municipality in which San Pancho is located. We were never notified. We were not part of a case in which we could have defended ourselves. We only found out when our banks told us that our accounts were frozen and that there was nothing that we could do because the judge's ruling. If that's the case, then freezing their accounts would be illegal, said Mexico City-based environmental attorney Brazil Villegas, who is not associated with the case. The lawyers representing Donielas and the other activists were unable to comment as it is still in litigation. He said the defendants should have known that they were being sued and had the chance to defend themselves in court before such actions were taken. The activists appear to be up against a formidable opponent with no apparent accountability. One said that Loomis personally threatened to put her in jail if she did not stop protesting. When contacted by Mexico News Daily, Loomis said that the claims of frozen bank accounts were false statements and declined to comment further. Judge Manuel Edgardo Servin Orozco of the 4th Civil Court of Jalisco, who issued the ruling, likewise turned down requests for comment, as did Profepa. So this is a very interesting situation, and they are going to continue trying to get their bank accounts unfrozen, and they are going to keep fighting, they say. And this article, I've got a link to it, is in Mexico News Daily, and we'll keep an eye on this story. It's just up there in San Pancho. So anyway, not a good thing for those people. So 2 good stories, 1 sad story. And here's another sad story. Cheryl Shoebox is going to, they're having their final days. The story reads, Cheryl Shoebox Final Days of Giving, posted by Cheryl Shoebox blog. 10 years ago, Cheryl Shreen saw a need and began taking her daily strolls with her backpack tossed over her shoulder, full of shoes. Anytime she noticed someone with worn shoes or no shoes, she'd stop them and pull a pair out of her satchel. At one point, she single-handedly collected over 3,000 pairs of shoes to take out to the Christmas at the Dump event. Shortly after, Cheryl passed. Vicky Strudeville, Michael Hammond, and Jaime Baldridge decided to keep her efforts going, and Cheryl's Shoebox was reborn. Throughout the years, We have received assistance from Dean McConkey and Mark and Sue Schneider, plus countless volunteers who have helped us pass out shoes and make the Cheryl's Shoebox Summer Bash a huge success. After many years of dedicated service to the community, we discovered that we had outgrown our shoes, and it grieves us to say that we'll be shutting down Cheryl's Shoebox as soon as our final projects are completed. We estimate that we should have all projects completed by the end of March 2020. Due to our growth over the last 5 years, we were advised that we should seek legal counsel to determine what our responsibility is to the Mexican government, since we are no longer just passing shoes out of our backpacks. After hiring an attorney, we were advised that due to the overwhelming support we received from all of you, that our little mom-and-pop charity would basically need to grow into a full-time business in order to continue our success. This would require paying a substantial amount of attorney and filing fees, plus monthly reporting, including accounting expenses to the government in order to move to a large charity status. Our little labor of love was turning into a big business that would not have coincided with the original values of Cheryl, our much-loved little lady who passed out shoes. Well, we've been very proud of all that we have accomplished over the last several years, and we owe it all to you and your generosity from the very beginning. Our first shoe giveaway occurred in Chimo, which is located about 20 minutes south of Yalapa. After a few years of providing shoes to the 3 schools in Chimo, the El Tuito government stepped in and began providing them with new school shoes and backpacks with school supplies each year. Then we turned our efforts to the outlying communities of El Progreso and El Colorado by assisting some of their community groups with outfitting the children with school shoes, athletic shoes, backpacks filled with their yearly school supplies, and various other educational material the groups needed to help up-and-coming generations go forth and conquer the world. We've also been steady supporters of the Banderas Bay Women's Shelter that provides assistance for abused women and children. We have an extended list of accomplishments that range from hurricane relief, migrant worker assistance, the Children with Cancer Center, and to many other groups and individuals that have contacted us for assistance. We encourage your continued support of these worthwhile organizations, although we'll no longer be accepting donations. So please continue to follow our Facebook wall as we complete our final planned projects that, due to your past generosity, we are able to fulfill. And please visit our website. I have a link to their website. It says, visit for information on more charities that are dear to our heart, and we'll continue to lend our personal support when we can. And wow. So anyway, like I said, I have the link in the show notes, and unfortunately, it looks like all good things must come to an end. And as she was explaining there, sometimes it's very difficult to do good in Mexico. Anyway, lots of good can sometimes, get you into trouble. So you got to look out, right? All right. Now with that story about footwear, I thought that I would bring our next guest in, Octavio Rios. He is a shoemaker at Puerto Vallarta's oldest Huaracheria. It's called Huaracheria Fabiola. But before we get to Octavio, maybe let's look a little bit into the history of shoemaking and Huaraches in Mexico. Let's see. This article is from Gear Patrol Online, Why Mexico Makes Some of the World's Best Shoes. You'll find some of the finest shoemakers in Mexico, specifically León, in the central Mexican state of Guanajuato. The city was founded in 1576 by Spanish conquistadors looking to guard the area against the local tribes, and the European vaqueros brought with them farming and cattle. The cattle, along with horses, prospered over hundreds of years, birthing a vibrant leather industry essential to the local economy. Today, the region is home to generations-old tanneries that supply premium leathers to local shoemen and leather good producers. The article goes on to note that currently Mexico produces upwards of 250 million pairs of shoes, 70% of which are made in León. With that amount of shoes, not every pair is a world-class build, but mass production, quick turnarounds, and cheaper materials can be found in any manufacturing region. A number of shoemakers continue to produce incredible footwear, the kind that you'd expect in a region that specialized in the craft for centuries, and the people have noticed. The article goes on to say that Mexican-made footwear isn't good just because other countries made it good. It's good simply because it is. León's shoemakers have built their prowess upon generations of shoemakers before them and centuries of history. Guanajuato is paved with cobblers and stores dedicated to the product and the craft, and there's nowhere else quite like it. And again, you can look for that link to that article in the show notes. So what is a traditional Mexican shoe? What is it called? If you look up and Google a search for Mexican shoes, guess what comes up? Well, what comes up is Huaraches. That's right. And if we go to the wiki pages, we find that Huaraches are pre-Columbian in origin. So they're old. They're frickin' old. The name Huarache is derived from the Purépecha language term Huarache and directly translates into English as sandal. Early forms have been found in and traced to the countryside farming communities of Jalisco, Michoacán, Guanajuato, and Yucatan. Originally, of all leather construction, the thong structure around the main foot is still traditionally made with hand-woven braided leather straps, and Huaraches gained popularity in North America thanks to their adoption as part of the 60s hippie lifestyle. By the end of the 20th century, they were to be found all over North and South America. Traditional Huarache designs vary greatly, but they're always very simple, originally made of all leather. Later, early designs included woven string soles and occasionally thin wooden soles. Later, more elaborate upper designs were created by saddlers and leather workers. The modern Huarache developed from the adoption in the 1930s of rubber soles, developed from used rubber car tires. Modern designs vary in size, from a simplistic sandal to a more complex shoe, using both traditional leather as well as more modern synthetic materials. Many shoes claim to be Huaraches, but they are still traditionally only considered a Huarache if they are, number one, handmade, and number two, have a woven leather form in the upper area of the shoe. And so that brings us to our guest, Octavio Rios. Octavio is one of the family of shoemakers over there at Huaracheria Fabiola. He works with his brother and his nephew and a longtime assistant. And, well, the place is very easy to find. If you come into the Zona Romantica over the bridge, over the Rio Quale, that is Ignacio Vallarta, that's the name of that street. Just before you hit the second street over the bridge at Calais Sardin, you will find that shop. It's across the street from the Fit Club and Seasons Restaurant, if you know where that is. The Condos Molina de Agua, if you know where that is. Anyway, when you walk in the front door of the shop, you're going to find yourself in a big room with loads of shoes, just tons of sandals and Huaraches. They're all styles, all leather, just piled high on shelves and on pegboard displays, hundreds of them. Anyway, this is a working shoemaker. And the brothers, they all make shoes, and they're all busy putting together shoes, actually, while the customers roam through the store. They are attentive, however, so if you walk in there, don't worry. They're always there to help you, but they are always working. Anyway, I asked one of the brothers downstairs if he would talk with me, and he spoke a little English. All those guys speak a little English, okay, but he says, his brother Octavio upstairs speaks better English. So he guided me upstairs to the real shop. And wow, it was fascinating. I've got pictures of this place. You will love them. Make sure you go to my website and check out the pictures of the workshop. There were strips of leather hanging all around. There were leather soles cut out. There were grinding machines and sewing machines. It was a really, really cool place. And anyway, Octavio, as it so happens, speaks English very well, and he agreed to tell us all about his place. So let's go right now. Let's go to the corner of Ignacio Vallarta and Achilles Cerdan. 145 Ignacio Vallarta, to be more precise. Let's meet the soul man from paradise, Octavio Rios, one of the talented men at Huaracheria Fabiola, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Octavio, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks to you for inviting me.
Yeah, you got it. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you from Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah, I was born here in 1969.
You were born in 1969. How long has Huaracheria Fabiola been here?
In this area in 1977.
1977. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, because I remember I came here first in 1984, and I remember this place. It's been in the same place for all those years. Was it your dad that opened it?
Yeah. He opened this store, but he was before in another one.
Ah, okay. Where was that one?
I think by Libertad Street or the other after bridge.
Uh-huh.
He used to be there for 10 years also, from 1970 to 1977.
So, to 77, and then, wow, so, and then moved here in 77.
Yeah.
So this is a long, long, long history here, isn't it? Wow. So this is a family affair, right?
Yeah.
You, all the brothers work here?
Yeah, my brother, my nephew, and we had another guy working for us since he was a kid.
Yeah, so it is a family affair.
Yeah.
This kid is like family, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Huaracheria Fabiola is named after who?
About my sister.
Yeah, Fabiola?
Fabiola.
Okay,
My sister.
And so it was Huaracheria Fabiola when your dad opened it. So your sister is the older sister?
No, he's the youngest.
Oh, she's the youngest. Ah, okay. Does she work here? Does she come here at all?
No.
No. What does she do?
Well, she got another business.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
At Pueblo Viejo. Viejo, another store right there.
Yeah, tell us about that store. What's going on there?
She sell everything, sandals and dressing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get a picture of her place so that we can pitch her, right?
Right, we can.
Right, sure. Why not? All right, let's come back here. Now, you make a lot of sandals here. Most of your work is done here, is it not?
Yeah, we work here.
Yeah. So, tell me, what's the biggest foot that you had to make a shoe for or a sandal?
American 16.
Wow. Okay. Was it tall guy?
Very tall guy.
Yeah. All right. So how about tiny? What do you think is the smallest?
The small
one?
ones,
yeah.
Size 14. Mexican size 14, like a 6 American size.
Like a 6, so like a kid, right?
But really
like a child,
tiny, yeah.
Right? And what you specialize in is you're probably one of the only places around here that make them to fit your foot, right?
I think in town, yeah, he's the only one now.
Yeah.
Used to be many, but now it's gonna disappear. Everything.
Yeah, it's kind of a dying art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. I'm going to have pictures of Octavio working here. There's some, I am fascinated by the shoe making art, and it is a dying art in the United States for sure. But I guess in Mexico, you're still getting handmade shoes and sandals and huaraches and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, in Mexico, yeah, but no in this town. This town only a few people work in this business,
Yeah. So if somebody was to come in and they can look around. You've got sandals that you can buy right off the shelf, right?
Right.
Yeah, but if they've got a special foot or they want a special sandal, then you'll measure their foot, and then what happens? They come back. How long does it take?
Depends on the style, but about 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
Depends how busy we are.
Well, this is your busy time, right?
Yeah, this is the busy time.
Yeah. All right, so he says 3 or 4 days, so I'd pad that, throw a couple more days on there just to be safe, right? Because if they're busy, you don't want to get caught and have to leave town and not take your shoes with you, right? What kind of sandals are you making? What What kind of styles?
We made a traditional huaraches, local huaraches and some other ties. We made sandals also, made with cowhide leather.
All
And
right.
some of them are made with tires, barrel, tire soles.
Tire soles.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and those are like the sandals, right?
Yeah, the original sandal is made with rubber tires.
With the rubber tire sole.
Sole.
So what about the huaraches? What kind of soles do they have?
They have the rubber and tires and leather soles.
Both. Okay, so the leather on top of the rubber tire, right?
Yeah, but sometimes we made with leather bottom also.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, so if somebody wants to dance in their sandals,
Yeah.
they can get some leather bottoms, right?
Right.
Right. Do you get dancers coming in here asking for stuff like that?
Not many, but they come. Sometimes.
Now they will, because they're going to hear this. They'll come and say, "Hey, make me some of those." That's a great idea. So you have these huaraches to fit people from just a child all the way up to
Most of them those are adult people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What is the most difficult thing about fitting a shoe?
Fix the last, The last this is the last we call it. Like I had to fix it, I had to add leather on top to make it higher instead, or maybe on the side to make it wider.
Okay, so what he's doing, he's showing me these. He's got this wooden, looks like a shoe, or looks like a foot, or kind of a shoe. And then what he does, and these are different sizes, right? They come in different sizes. But if they have a special, if they got a big foot or a wide foot, you have to adjust this wooden piece, right? And that's the hard part, right?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
If somebody comes in and they say, "Gosh, maybe it's a little tight," do you say walk around in them, or what do you say?
Well, it's better they get a little tight because the leather always stretch,
Okay, all right. So you should maybe expect it to be just a little tight when you start.
A little tight, it's a little snug, not too tight, but.
Okay. How long would a huarache last if you're wearing it for a whole year? Like if you wear it like every day?
Depends on the tie, because some of them are with the tecker leather, higher. Tecker leather and white straps last longer than
right.
One is a thinner strap.
So some of them are more delicate than others, right?
It lasts you maybe 1 year. You wear every day,
right.
But you get the heavy leather, maybe lasts you 3, 4, 5 years.
Excellent. Can you give me a price range in pesos? How much like a custom?
For custom, around 500 pesos to 900 pesos.
Okay, that's good. That's great.
Depends on the style,
Right. It depends on the style, and you got plenty of them. I'm going to have pictures of the different styles that they have in the show notes. You know where to find them at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You'll have a picture of Octavio's smiling face. Gee, I'm going to make sure I take his picture before I leave. And some of these, and these. Now, what do they call these things? These molds?
Well, they call it in English.
No,
they call it las. In Spanish, it's horma.
Horma.
Okay,
all right. So I'll have pictures of these hormas that he's got here in different sizes, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. Now, huaraches are also, you can eat huaraches.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Tell us what's a huarache, the kind that you eat?
Well, it's made with corn, like flour.
Corn tortilla? Or
similar to tortilla,
right.
But not exactly.
So the
corn.
maize.
Yeah, but that's the base of the huarache, the maize, corn. But they prepare with maybe the beans and meat and vegetables.
Yeah, okay. So that's a huarache that you can eat.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good, too, I got to tell you. So, if you ever think about, trying something a little different and you haven't tried one, try that. And speaking about eating, let's go out into town, because we always talk about food on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. All of my listeners want to know the good places to go out and eat. So if you were going to go and have a breakfast and lunch or a dinner, where would you go for breakfast, for example?
My kitchen.
Your kitchen. I knew it. These you must be a good cook, right?
Yeah, but they're good places to eat. You mean for breakfast?
Yeah. Tell me what do you like for breakfast? Where would you like to go? If you had a place to choose around here, for example, you wanted to go and have breakfast and you didn't cook for yourself.
Well, I eat heavy, no? You know, I eat tacos, you know, birria tacos or beef tacos, pork tacos.
Right. Okay. So where do you get those in the morning?
In the morning, you know, by here around the corner, the street is Constitución. The other one is Madero. There's a guy, he sells good tacos. Call it El Moreno.
El Moreno. And he's open in the morning.
Yeah, in the morning.
And he sells tacos de birria.
Tacos de birria and grilled tacos also.
Nice. Okay. All right.
And more birria. It's 2 blocks more from the Moreno. Is another guy. He sells a lot.
Yeah.
They cook birria, only birria.
Only
especially.
birria. And so there's a couple of birria guys like right next to each other in the morning, right?
Yeah,
right
in the
there
morning.
on Madero and Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. So how about lunch? Oh, I know that you just got done eating a big, heavy breakfast, but where would you go for lunch?
Lunch also here by the Aquiles Cerdán and Constitución. The name is Rafa. This guy got a stand in the street. He sells seafood tacos.
Rafa.
Seafood tacos.
Okay. It's Aquiles Cerdán in where?
Same.
In Constitución?
Constitución.
Okay. And he's your seafood taco stand. He's the guy you go see.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dish that you get, taco you get from him?
The favorite? We got twin tacos. They call it caguamanta. Caguamanta and...
it's like Monterey, right?
Machaca, you know machaca?
Machaca.
Fish machaca.
Okay, so Monterey machaca.
Machaca, sí. Mantarraya.
All right, so there you go. So you guys want to try the Monterey machaca, you can find it right there. What is the name of the stand?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember the
name.
It's
the one on the corner,
It's
okay?
a big guy.
It's a big guy, stands on the corner, sells fish.
He just cooked on the moment, you know, at the moment just...
So it's fresh.
Just fresh.
And when he makes you your shrimp taco, is that deep fried or fritado, or is it grilled?
No, it's deep fried. Deep fried the shrimp and sometimes fish.
Nice. All right.
They
cool.
call it finger, you know, finger.
Right.
Finger
Fish
taco.
fingers.
Yeah.
And nobody ever found a finger on a fish, ever. But they call them finger fish. All right, that's very cool. So these are great taquerias, man, that you go to. You don't go to some sit-down place. You go sit on the curb, right? You go sit on the sidewalk and eat. Look at you. All right, so what about dinner?
Dinner?
Yeah.
I have no dinners.
You don't have dinner? If you were going to take a friend out, where would you take him?
Well, there's another guy, you know, 1 block more. What's the name of this street? I don't remember.
It's okay.
Pino Suarez.
On Pino Suarez, yeah.
They got a good place. They call it Sonoritas.
Ah, that's a new place.
They got a pastor tacos, you know?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, that's really nice inside. It's a good-sized place.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait in line like you do over at Pepe's.
Yeah, Pepe's tacos?
Yeah, you don't have to wait in line for that, you know.
No,
for
a big line.
Right, the other one
I think this guy's better.
they're good. They put out a good product.
Yeah.
You're right.
You been there?
I have, sure. Yeah, that's why I can say you're right. If you were gonna leave town and go somewhere for a day and come back that night, where would you go?
Well, I go to San Sebastián.
Yeah.
And then I went to Mascota, the same, but it take me 1 day or 2 days sometimes.
Oh, you take a little more time?
Yeah, 1 day or 2 days sometimes to.
Okay, so you could do San Sebastian in a day and Mascota in a day, but you like to stretch it out, make 2 days of it. When you stay in San Sebastian, where do you stay? You got a friend, or you actually stay in a hotel?
In fact, I stay in San Sebastian only for a couple hours because I just pass.
Yeah.
And then I take the highway again to go to Mascota.
So you prefer Mascota?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about Mascota. We've never been there on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. What kind of a place is Mascota?
Mascota is even older than Vallarta. You know, very old. It's old city.
Yeah.
I go there because my mother, she born there.
Ah, okay. So you go back to visit your roots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. If you were to stay there, you probably stay with family when you go there, right?
No. We
Where
go
do you
to this
stay?
place. They call it La Esmeralda.
Okay. Tell me about La Esmeralda.
La Esmeralda is a beautiful place.
It's a cabana?
A cabaña, yeah. Son cabañas.
One of those cabanas out there.
Cabañas, very good place, very nice.
They have like a swimming pool there and all that stuff.
But they got swimming pool.
Yeah.
But never swimming because it's very cold.
I was going to say, it's too cold to swim. It's funny, all those cabanas have swimming pools, but nobody gets in because they're in the mountains. You know?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right, what if you had 3 days? Where would you go?
Well, I've been before in Mexico City.
You like Mexico City?
Well, I like Mexico City. It's a big city, but it takes long time to go to move. You in the city, you want to go to a place, take me 2 hours to go and then 2 hours to come.
Yeah. So it's easier. You prefer probably, you'd spend 3 days in Mascota. That's what you would do, right?
It's better. It's very quiet.
Yeah. So if you're going to go to Mascota, you're going for peace and quiet. You're not going for party.
No.
No. What are there things to do in Mascota other than just walk around and eat and kind of see the sights?
Well, Mascota, yeah, only for rest, you know. But the city is very quiet. You can go walk downtown, the city, the small town.
It's just very pretty, right?
It's very old town, so no lot of cars, no noisy, you know.
Yeah. Would it be safe for some gringo to go over there and wander through the town?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
I saw some of them. I hear a guy, one of my customers last week. He said he's gonna go to Mascota.
All right. Well, good. Well, then we're gonna find out what he says about that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Well, I think maybe I'll go to Mascota maybe while I'm down here.
Okay.
All right. If you had a word of advice for a first-time traveler to Puerto Vallarta, what would you, other than coming to Huaracheria Fabiola, what would you say? What would you suggest to them?
The guy for the first time.
Yeah. What would you tell them?
The English, the tourist guide, they took it to the places they want, so they gotta take care about that because sometimes these guys they tell you buy here, don't buy here, but you gotta be more open your mind to see why this guy take you to those places.
Right, exactly.
It's good. You maybe you take the city tour, but then you go for yourself and check for yourself all the places
before you buy.
Before you buy, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly right. Because some of these guys, they take you to their favorite places and they're getting something in return. So you got to watch out. Yeah. That's great advice.
Yeah.
What in this town would somebody who came here, if they didn't see it, what would they need to see, or where do they have to see before they leave?
Well, they have to come to the church, to the main square, to Malecon. This is the old part of the town, right? Because all the town is new in the north, you know.
Right, yeah, and people don't understand that. They say hey, I've been to Puerto Vallarta, and they're in Nayarit, they're in another state. So.
Oh yeah, also. Yeah. People think it's in Vallarta, but it's Nuevo Vallarta.
Right.
Vallarta is different. We had our own village, you know.
Exactly right. So you got to. So that's the key. If you're in Puerto Vallarta, no matter what, you need to come to
town.
To town, right? Yeah. Make that discovery. All right. Let's come back here. Let's come back to Huaracheria Fabiola.
Okay.
Tell us exactly where this place is.
By the Vallarta Street on Quiles Cerdán. It's past the bridge.
Just at the other side of the bridge, going south, and as you're going into the romantic zone, and then you're going to see it. It's on the left-hand side of the street, across from with the Molino Agua.
Well, it used to be Molino de Agua. Now it's Riviera Molino.
Oh, it's the Riviera Molino. I get that right. Right across the street from the Riviera Molino.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what was there before the Riviera Molino.
It was a Molino de Agua.
And then before that?
Before that, I don't remember. I think they call La Selva. La Selva.
Oh, okay, La Selva. All right.
Yeah, but that was maybe 50 years ago.
Yeah, you weren't even born yet, man.
Yeah.
Okay, you were just a couple of years old.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys online? Are you Facebook? What do you have?
Yeah, we have on Facebook.
You're on Facebook?
Sí,
all
no?
right. I think.
Yeah. Huaracheria Fabiola on Facebook, we have it.
Okay, and I know that you're on TripAdvisor too. I'll have links to the to their Facebook page in the show notes. I'll also have a Google map that'll take you right to the front door of Huaracheria Fabiola. It's really easy to find. These guys are really great. They'll work with you, and they'll do a good job for you. And Octavio, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with me today. I'm so happy that you were able to come and talk with me.
You're welcome. And come to Vallarta and come to Huaracheria Fabiola.
All right, Octavio. Thanks, man. Thanks for all the great advice. Thanks for telling us about your cool Huaracheria. Like I said, make sure that you check out the pictures. I have them in the show notes, and it'll give you a really good idea as to what kind of footwear they sell there. They've got all kinds of beautiful sandals, huaraches, shoes, you name it. Anyway, I've got a map that will take you also to the front door of Huaracheria Fabiola, and you can find that at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. All right. Well, that should do it for now. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. And until then, remember, this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget his maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. I've got links to all of those in the show notes as well. And once again, if you like this podcast, take time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes or wherever you happen to listen to podcasts. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you gotta go there. I have links to the places that we talk about. I have interesting pictures and more right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each and every episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. So thank you, Octavio Rios from Huaracheria Fabiola. Thanks for telling us all about your family business. And many of us have grown to love your place over the years. It's a really wonderful place. It is a treasure. It's a landmark, and it's still going strong to serve the next generation of visitors and lovers of Puerto Vallarta. Check out the pictures, check out the maps, check out the links, and visit them next time you're in paradise for a custom-made pair of huaraches or sandals, all right? Great quality, reasonable prices. It's fantastic. Hey, thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
solo camino eterno por la playa. Me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta. Noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.